So welcome again to those of you who are just joining us. If you are here for the Innovation Career Pathways Workshop for prospective applicants, you are in the right place. And we are going to get started with some introductions. Feel free to say hello in the chat. And if you would like to tell us where you are zooming in from, and even if you know that you're considering a particular pathway and want to share something about that, we welcome that as well. So we will be here for about 90 minutes this morning. And we have a really information-packed 90 minutes for you. So we want to make sure that everybody is set up to make the most of this time. So a few technical bits of information before we start. You are welcome to turn on the auto closed captioning for this workshop. The instructions to do that are found here on the screen now. We also make a recording of the workshop for folks who are not able to attend live, or so that you can go back and look at the recording if helpful. And that recording will be posted on our website within a week. We'll send you a link to tell you exactly where to find that and the slide deck after the workshop. I want to tell you a little bit about the partnership that makes this workshop and all the offerings that are part of the Massachusetts Innovation Career Pathways Community of Practice possible. So that is a partnership between DESE and the Center for Collaborative Education. CCE is a Boston-based organization that works nationally to bring communities and schools together. And there's some additional information about CCE here on the slide for you. This DESE CCE partnership has been active for 6 years, and CCE is really proud to partner with DESE to support applicants and designees in the Innovation Career Pathways Community of Practice, or COP. You will notice that we use some acronyms in our network, things like ICP for Innovation Career Pathways and COP for Community of Practice. If we ever use an unfamiliar acronym, we have an acronym translator on our website. You're also always welcome to ask a question. We want this space to be inclusive and constructive for all of the educators and their partners who are members of this community. So into some more specific introductions. My name is Annie Leonard. I'm Director of Programs at the Center for Collaborative Education, and I've been started my career in public education in Massachusetts in 1993. So I'm here with my CCE colleague, Allison, and she is our Director of Operations and the person who provides all the tech support for the webinar. So if you run into any difficulty during the webinar, please feel free to message her in the chat and she will do her best to help you out. And then I want to pass to my DESE colleague, Jennifer Gwatkin, to introduce herself and other DESE folks who are joining us today.
Good morning. Well, we now have 52 folks in the room. I think we're expecting over 70, which is super exciting. I see a lot of faces that are familiar to me, and I'm excited to see lots of new faces and look forward to getting to work with you. I'm Jennifer Gwatkin. I'm the Innovation Career Pathways lead for DESE, and I've been working with Innovation Career Pathways since their inception back in 2017, 2018, when we started with just a handful of districts, and now we have 117 schools involved, which is huge. So looking forward to growing and expanding even more in the coming year. And I'm joined by, well, Latoya will introduce herself in a minute, but by a number of folks from the DESE College Career and Technical Education team, liaisons who we will meet later. Each region has a liaison and they work with the Mass Hire boards. Again, you'll hear more about this later, and they will introduce themselves. And then also Larry and Raven from our team who are experts on CHAMP, which is the application platform you'll learn about. I'm saying far too much now. I'm going to pass the mic over to Latoya.
Hello, good morning, everyone. My name is Latoya Tavernier. I am a liaison, so you'll learn more about that if you are not familiar later on in the webinar. I work specifically with Central Mass, North Central and Central If you're thinking about the mass hire boards, again, we'll talk more about that later, but I'm very happy to see familiar faces here and some unfamiliar faces that I'm looking forward to get to know better. So thank you for coming, and I'll pass it back.
Thank you so much, Latoya and Jennifer. And also with us today is one of our wonderful peer ambassadors, Marlene Saba, who is the College and Career Coordinator at Fairhaven High School. And she, as our co-facilitator and presenter today, will be sharing Fairhaven High School's journey to designation in a business finance pathway. The designation happened in 2024. And a further application for designation is in the future. So from a true practitioner and leader in the field, we're really lucky to have Marlene joining us today. You'll hear more from her shortly. So as you know, our hope today is that this workshop will lead to increased understanding of innovation career pathways and the process of applying for designation, and will connect you to lots of resources, human resources, web-based resources that will help your school team in the planning and application process. There will be contributions from current practitioners, Marlene and others in the room. We have lots of existing designees with lots of great experience and wisdom to share. And there'll be some opportunities for you to begin to make connections across this network. There will be lots of future offerings that will have more time for that kind of interaction and connection making. So for our itinerary today, we're going to wrap up the opening with a connections poll, and then we're going to move into a review of the current landscape of innovation career pathways as a statewide initiative. Then we will pass the mic to Marlene and hear the specific story of Fairhaven High School's journey to designation. And then we're going to spend a chunk of time really trying to map out the details of the application for designation process in the 25-26 year. Again, introducing you to some specific resources and hopefully allow time for Q&A. If we don't have Q&A time available in the workshop today, we will still welcome your questions in the chat and provide a number of ways that you can get follow-up on those questions. As you may have seen in the email that was sent out yesterday, we also will be sharing a lot of links during this workshop. And so we prepare a resource guide to accompany the webinar. Allison will be sharing links in the chat, including the resource guide link that she has just shared now. So every time she shares a link, don't feel that you have to set up a bookmark to save that link. Everything that we share in the workshop today is in the resource guide, or if we share something new, we'll add it to the resource guide and send that to you in our follow-up email. We want you to really be able to focus on listening and learning. So we are going to do a quick poll, and you will see the poll questions up here on the slide, just to get a sense again of who's in the room and where you are in the process. So it'll ask you to choose the response that best describes you, and then to share the broad industry sector that you are thinking of applying for in the coming year. So I'm going to launch that poll and invite you to take a moment to read and respond. And then as we start to see the results of the poll coming in a minute or two, I will share them and see if anybody on our facilitation team wants to comment on what you're seeing. All right, so we are Just about at 80% of the folks in the room have responded. We always assume that there may be some of you who are walking the halls of the school or doing something else that makes it difficult to respond to a poll. So I'm going to close it in just a second. If you want to hit a response, please do so now.
Or perhaps you're on a bus to Six Flags, as we learned in the chat. Where was my invitation? Oh, wait, I had to be here. This is a good split. There's some knowledge in the room, like you're saying before, Annie, folks who are current designees, been through the process before. They're coming back for more potentially, so it must not be that bad.
Yes, we've got experienced folks as well as some representatives of schools who are brand new. And I'm also interested to see that we have a number of folks who are here from different partner organizations. So workforce partners, other folks working in the education and school redesign space, and everybody's welcome. So we appreciate that. In terms of the industry sectors, that's also an interesting spread. And it's interesting to me to see strong interest in clean energy, which is the newest broad industry sector. This will just be the third year for applications in that sector. And this is a point where I would just like to mention, because I think for folks new to this initiative, that language of broad industry sector and the specific names of these industry sectors can sometimes be a little bit confusing. So I think it's worth mentioning that within these broad sectors, for example, in environmental and life sciences, some schools may be thinking about developing a biotech pathway with that designation. Others may be focused on something like natural resource conservation. So these things can look quite different in different community and school contexts as they are planned to best meet the needs of the students and communities that they are serving. So thank you so much for sharing a little bit about who you are and why you are here. Jennifer, over to you to talk a little bit more about Pathways.
Great. Thank you, Annie. As I mentioned before, we're now 117 schools strong, and we have representation across the entire state, which is fantastic. I mentioned before that Innovation Career Pathways has been around since 2017. It's part of a broader initiative at DESE and actually the Executive Office of Education called High Quality College and Career Programs. It encompasses early college as well. But participation in this kind of pathway, specifically Innovation Career Pathways, is intended to contextualize and personalize student learning, promote deeper engagement in students' high school experience, and we are seeing that it does, lead students toward opportunities for meaningful careers in the relevant industry sector, or their sector of choice. So I will put a link in the chat, or maybe Allison will, to the DESE ICP page.
It's already there.
It's already there. She's so amazing, guys. And then just drawing a distinction. So there is the page that Allison has linked. That's a DESE ICP page. That's where you find information on the timeline. That's where the guidance for the party application will post. Really anything DESE pertinent will post there. And then we also have the community of practice page, maicp.org, which you'll hear more about. So as you begin the design and application process, we want you to consider how your pathways align with the Massachusetts State Career Development Model. So what career development domains are you currently facilitating for students, and which ones need more development? How are you currently providing students with a MyCap scope and sequence? I'm curious how many of you have MyCap already or embarking on the process. What pathway programming is currently in place? And then Allison's going to cue, or she's going to put the work-based learning DESE page link in the chat.
So one of the things that schools who are early in the process want to be thinking about is pathways not as kind of a siloed area of programming in your school, but really integrating an overall approach or pathways strategy that is aligned with the Massachusetts career development model. So you're seeing that model here on the screen, and then the page that links there is the work-based learning page on the DESE site, which will offer some further food for thought about integration into your overall school vision.
Mhm. And many of you have probably engaged in portrait of a graduate work, vision of a graduate, portrait of a learner. So it's just another example of some foundational work that you can draw from. So here are some of the hallmarks of innovation career pathways. Pathways are based on partnerships. I think Wes in the chat has shouted out they're between high schools and local workforce boards here in Massachusetts. They're MassHire, and you can find your regional board contact information in the resource guide, and employer. So it's intended to be a true partnership, not just partnerships in name only. We're thinking veritable, deep and meaningful engagement. And when we say industry sector alignment, please think broad, as was mentioned earlier, and not occupation specific. That is what our CTE or Chapter 74 programs here in Massachusetts entail. Innovation career pathways are in our academic and comprehensive high schools, and our wall-to-wall vocational, so we're not using the word vocational, CTE schools are not eligible to apply. So academic high schools and comprehensive high schools. And intentional and innovation pathways call for intentional design. So we're expecting a defined scope and sequence of a 4-year long or equivalent courses. There should be 2 courses that are more technical or applied in nature, and 2 advanced courses with an immersive end of program experience, either an internship or a capstone that should be 100 hours minimum in duration.
Thanks for that correction, Jennifer. I'll update the slide and replace vocational with CTE.
Well, the regs have just changed for those who have been tuning in. So officially CTE now. Broad industry sectors, we've talked about this before. Applicants must propose a program that is aligned with career opportunities in a broad industry sector, that is aligned with high employer demand that's been identified by the Workforce Skills Cabinet regional blueprint process. That's how these 6 now sectors came about. They weren't just sectors that we picked at random. It was informed by a lot of research. Your workforce development, MassHire boards can tell you a lot about that. So these are the 6 sectors. Clean energy was brand new a couple of years ago. We now have 10 schools with clean energy pathways. 5 schools are new to it and are launching this next year. And through the course of the year, we offer numerous opportunities for folks to learn about the sectors and connect with other schools who are working on these pathways. So think of this as the kickoff for a lot of supports, the beginning, and not the endpoint at all. You're not going to be left to your own devices. And then I believe that Allison's going to share in the chat links for regional blueprints and LMI 101.
So in terms of these fundamentals, the technical courses, advanced courses, and culminating work-based learning experiences, those are elements of pathway design that I want to reassure you that Marlene is going to be talking about, and that you'll have lots of opportunities to learn more about today and in the future. I think we've talked about the broad industry sectors, Jennifer, so if it's okay with you, I'll go forward to this slide, which gives that information on current sector distribution. Yeah,
we're now at, I think, 260 plus designated pathways in 117 schools. We should have over 8,700 students in pathways in the fall of 2025. There is a list of designees, the full list on the DESE webpage that was linked earlier in the chat. It's also linked in your resource guide, and we have people in the room who are from each of these sectors.
Talk to us a little bit about funding innovation career pathways work, please.
Yes, always a very strong area of interest. How do people do this with funding? So historically, we have offered, and we will continue to offer, a planning grant opportunity to support schools who are applying for a designation. The RFP is currently in development. In fact, we just had a meeting yesterday. There's a whole process, as you would expect, for it to post. So it should post shortly. The submissions, I believe, this year are going to be due in mid-July, and then we'll announce the awards in August. So stay tuned. We're not going to let you miss this opportunity. I will personally send out an email to the listserv. That's a plug for the listserv to register if you have not registered, so you can hear about the grant as soon as it posts. The maximum award for fiscal 26 will be similar to this past year and the year before, for those of you who have been in the mix for a while, up to $15,000. And a school can only submit one application. So the $15,000 is agnostic of the number of pathways you're pursuing. The planning grants are competitive, which just means that we have a finite amount of dollars that we're going to be able to distribute. But the application is open to any Massachusetts school district or charter school, any public school that plans to seek Innovation Career Pathways designation in fall of 2025. When you submit a planning grant application, that is an agreement to submit a Part A application, which will be due at the end of October. And just want to say that preference may be given to a local education agency that has not received Innovation Career Pathways grants in the past. Again, historically, we've been able to give out a lot of dollars to everybody who's applied successfully, but just have to mention that. And then once you secure your designation, so fast forward to March, everything has gone great. You get this letter of approval from our commissioner. You're eligible for implementation dollars. So these are support dollars for folks who have achieved designation, and those are awarded through a separate process in the spring. Schools with newly designated programs can apply for these implementation dollars. The fiscal 26 maximum award will be $75,000 for schools who are brand new designees, so first time getting an Innovation Career Pathways designation. Folks who have gotten the designation who are in years 2 through 5 are eligible for a maximum award of up to $50,000. Again, all this will be discussed at length down the road, but just want to give you a picture of what it's like. You can use the funding from DESE for a variety of things. Examples of allowable expenses, program administration coordination. A lot of folks do stipends for K-12 and higher education faculty who are involved. Curricular development is something that folks spend a lot of time on. Engage with your MassHire boards and industry partners, professional development, instructional related supplies and materials, high quality college and career advising, and MyCap development embedded in the pathways, transportation, for folks who are implementing Shirley, getting students to those internship sites, reimbursement for dual enrollment courses that are part of Innovation Career Pathways. A lot of schools leverage partnerships with community colleges and some with four institutions. I want to mention that there are dollars available for technology and equipment biggie, stuff that's above $5,000. Those funds are through the Skills Capital Grant. That's how they're accessible. And there's an application process that the Executive Office of Education manages.
Jennifer, there's a question in the chat about the implementation dollar amounts. Is it 50,000 max overall or 50,000 per pathway?
Great question, Rachel. So it's $50,000 total. So again, agnostic of the number of pathways.
And we'll hear more about sources and uses of funding from Marlene. So we are going to transition now to hearing from Marlene about Fairhaven High School and its journey to designation. She's going to be talking about the planning and design process that her school went through, and also kind of the place that came from, with a desire to design ways to better meet the needs and aspirations of all the students in her school. So I will turn the mic over to you, Marlene.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. My name is Marlene Saba. I'm the College and Career Coordinator at Fairhaven High School. I'm so happy to be here to share our own journey to designation with you all. Hopefully, it'll be inspiring and helpful in so many ways. But before we delve into the different phases of our journey, I would like to give you a little bit of a snapshot of our town and high school. Fairhaven High School is located in Fairhaven in southern Mass, near New Bedford, if you know the area. The town is relatively affluent, known for its very rich whaling history, stunning architecture. As you can see, we live in this castle, and we have a very promising potential in the future of wind energy. Approximate enrollment every year is around 600 students, and I copied from the DESE website our high school profile with a breakdown of our student body with respect to race and ethnicity, so that I can give you a clear picture of our unique context. Our unique context gave us so many strengths, but also there were a few challenges that we needed to address in order to succeed in our design. So starting with phase one, we broke down the process in 4 phases just to make it a little easier and to convey the information accordingly. So phase one, it was just a candid conversation between myself and the assistant superintendent, and we both were looking for initiatives and ways to bring more of the college and career readiness programming to our high school. We both knew a lot about the innovation pathways, but we just wanted to start somewhere. So we decided to form a team, a diverse and cohesive team, diverse in terms of roles, because we wanted different individuals with different insights to bring in their expertise into this design. We wanted a cohesive team, people who could work very well together. There's nothing wrong with thinking this way, having some kind of chemistry, but most importantly, the different level of expertise. We have teachers, we have guidance counselors on the advisory board. We also have teachers, administrators, myself, and later in the process, we also added our lead employer as well as the MassHire president. So it's really a diverse and a cohesive team that work very well together in order to design and implement the design. The first thing we did after that is familiarize the team with the ICP guiding principles. And I'm certain that you are all aware of them: equitable access, guided academic pathways, enhanced student support, connection to career, and effective partnerships. We thought that this tactic will be very successful every time we wanted to add a component or determine what type of steps we need to take in order to include in our design. We went back to those principles, and they were truly guiding us in terms of strengthening our design and addressing some challenges, as we will see together in the next slides. So those were very important steps for us because we wanted to make sure that they are positively and adequately implemented in our design. In phase two,
So before you speak about phase two, I just want to mention that Allison is going to share a self-assessment tool in the chat. That's one of several planning tools available in the resource section on maicp.org that can help schools begin to understand those guiding principles and self-assess on areas of strength and areas where growth is needed.
Thank you. So we knew that we wanted to apply for innovation pathways, but we haven't decided what industry sectors yet. So in order to do that, we studied our labor market. And I know Jennifer mentioned the regional blueprint of your town or your city. That is an amazing document to access and to read thoroughly, because it is a lengthy document, but it is extremely informative. It will give you the real data, the accurate data in all your industry sectors with clear information about employers, employees, and the breakdown. And you can definitely see where your strength is in your region, in your area. In addition to that, we also accessed our economic development plan in our town. I think typically those documents are released every 3 to 5 years, depending on the town or the city. So we accessed our latest one, and we tried to marry the two together to see where they intersect, where there is, possible substantial growth. Then we looked at our demographics, our school demographics, to see where we can ensure, and this is where equitable access comes to life. We had to ensure that not just our majority of students, the 83%, have a place in the workforce, but also the 17 remaining percent that were equally important. So we looked at all the different subfields in the different sectors. We made sure that all our students will eventually have a place in the workforce. And this is how we determine that business and finance will be the best suited pathway for now for our high school. So all of these 3 documents will be an amazing starting point for you if you haven't started yet, to give you the raw data, the clear data that will enable you to select the right industry sector for your high school.
That data-driven decision-making is so critical, Marlene, and I really appreciate how you're highlighting both the labor market information. There are some new resources for that being shared in the chat. There's a great resource called LMI 101, Labor Market Information 101, from the Massachusetts Department of Economic Research in the resource guide, but also not just the demographic data, but the interests and needs of your students. So finding ways to bring student voice really deeply into your process, and crosswalking that with the economic data that you're learning about is really what it sounds like helped guide your proposal vision.
There's also one more thing I would like to mention about the equitable access, is that we wanted also to have opportunities for all students for their post-secondary involvement. And what I mean by that is not all students are going to get a bachelor's degree, let's say. So we made sure that our partners in the community have, a readiness for this. So for example, we have an insurance company, one of our partners, who is willing to hire graduates from our program, from the ICP program, to train as insurance agents without necessarily having a formal education. So I'm happy about that, because different students have different readiness for post-secondary education, and we wanted them to have those opportunities, no matter how ready they are to get an associate's degree or a bachelor's degree or master's and PhD. So there is an opportunity for all of them to have some kind of a post-secondary educational journey after completing the program. So that was also interesting for us to see that there is room for everybody. There is an opportunity for all our students to be able to embark on their post-secondary college education or career. So for the second phase, the following phase, and building on what Jennifer so deftly elaborated about the fundamental components of any program design, I would like to take you to our website. This way we can see together the different courses that we selected, whether they're technical or rigorous. Also, the industry recognized credentials. There it is. Now, please bear in mind that I have 0 artistic skills. So this website is just a practical platform where students and their families and teachers and other community members can access to find more information about the pathway. It is not to substitute our own, recruitment efforts or our efforts to advise our students and inform them about the pathway. It's just a place where they can find the necessary information if need be, just to help them get started or just seek a little bit more of information. If you don't mind, okay, so this is the explanation at the top, and we just recently add our podcast, totally led by the students, where they the podcast interviewer had two guests who are current participants in the pathway, and they were talking about their own experience. If you have time, please check it out. It's only 18 minutes long, but they did a great job explaining the pathway and enticing their classmates to be involved in it, and they highlighted their own experience and the strength of the program. So if you scroll down just a bit, we're just gonna access the list. We can go back to this a little later, but I just wanted to share with you the list of technical classes and rigorous classes and how we decided on those. So initially, we did an inventory of our program of studies to see if we have what it takes. So when we did that, we quickly realized that we have 3 amazing technical classes. One is computer applications, the second is economics, and the third is financial literacy and consumerism. We just added a 4th one. Sorry, the bell rang. A 4th one that the math department just created. It's Algebra 2 with financial applications. One of our advisory board members is a math teacher, and this is how this came about. So this is truly like a school affair. So we just added the 4th course. Now, when we looked at rigorous classes, we quickly realized that we had to seek additional rigorous classes from neighboring colleges, specifically Bristol Community College and Mass Maritime Academy. Again, we wanted to have more than one choice as far as dual enrollment classes because we wanted our students to have more than one choice, not just a community college, but also a regular 4-year university. And with BCC, we reached an agreement, and they offer our students 2 classes, Principles of Accounting and Principles of Management. Mass Maritime Academy offers Introduction to Business. Again, at Fairhaven High School, we only had 1 AP course, which was the AP Stats, and this year we just added AP Economics. So now we have 5 rigorous classes from which our students can pick. And I like the fact that we have 2 AP classes because we all have some students who sometimes are not ready for the college campus yet, which is totally fine. So I love the fact that we can sustain in Fairhaven, like we don't have to seek additional courses outside the Fairhaven High School. So students can definitely stay in the program, even if they don't want to take dual enrollment classes, but they can take 2 AP classes at Fairhaven. So I feel comfortable about having 2 AP classes at Fairhaven High School. Now, regarding industry recognized credentials, we all know that they are not mandatory, of course, but they do enhance the experience. We asked around, and we know for a fact that employers and business owners love to see those credentials on students' resumes. And the best way, I think, this is my humble advice, the best way to go about selecting which ones you want to have in your design is to ask local employers. They are your best partners. We asked also the MassHire crew because they deal with employers on a daily basis. We ask community members, and we asked what type of credentials you like and you want to see on students' resumes. And this is how we selected the 4 that you see in front of you based on that feedback. Now, in your context, in your region, it could be slightly different, and that's perfectly fine. There is no shortage of credentials out there. It's just a matter of finding the ones that best suit your own context, if you will. So we selected the Microsoft Office specialist certification. And I'm very happy to report that on Monday, we have 7 participants sitting for the exam. They're so excited and they are so grateful, and they're telling their friends, and it's becoming, a very interesting thing to have. So this happened after taking the computer applications course. The second one is QuickBooks. We found that it's very popular in doing payroll and accounting. So we are offering it in the economics class. The teacher helps with the facilitation of the online modules. And of course, upon completing those modules, the students will be offered the chance to sit for the exam as well. And of course, we fund those exams for our participants. The third one was the bank teller certificate. And I'm very happy to report that MassHire was so generous to offer us the licenses, the opportunity to fund those certifications. And this is where effective partnership comes to life as well. When you have this excellent partnership or relationship with the MassHire Workforce Board, you have an open door to several opportunities. They have their own funding and their own a place where they can incorporate some of their fundings to help you. So the conversation with them is always recommended, and just ask them what they have or what they can help you have. You will be amazed at how much you can acquire from them. This is how this came about. I didn't know that they have this partnership or account with the American Banking Association, through which our students in the financial literacy and consumerism class can acquire the bank teller certificate due to their generosity, which is amazing. The fourth one is at no cost. It's through the U.S. Treasury. It's the Money Smart curriculum. You can access it at any time. But the way we did it was a bit interesting. We asked the education coordinator from the bank that we partnered with as an employer, which is the South Coast Credit Union. They have an education coordinator who comes in to our classes, financial literacy and consumerism, and conduct the 14 modules of the U.S. Treasury curriculum of smart money. And upon completion of the 14 modules, they give them a certificate of completion. And those modules are very interesting. They have to deal with tax, insurance, stock market. They really cover all the basics of financial literacy, if you will. So, and the students are typically very proud to put that on their resumes, and they're it's really an achievement that they feel so proud about. So this is how we thought that those industry recognized credentials are suitable for our own pathway. It could be slightly different for you, but I know I'm repeating myself, but if you seek some feedback or insight from local employers, business owners, MassHire, they will definitely guide you in an efficient way. When it came to select the immersive experience option for the pathway, it was either internship or a capstone project. We talked to our lead employer, the South Coast Credit Union, and they were willing to offer our 16 participants paid internships. Now, the great thing about this partnership is that we opened a branch of the bank at Fairhaven High School because we thought that some of our students will probably have issues with transportation or any type of scheduling issues where they cannot really go and attend and complete their internships. So our lead employer was extremely accommodating. The bank branch opened concurrently with the launching of the program, and currently 2 interns two participants complete their internships every semester at the high school branch. And they also have 6 additional branches. So they can very easily accommodate all of our students. I'm sharing all of these details with you because that's what led us to select the internships, because we knew we could sustain. I didn't want to set us up for failure in a sense that we would be looking for internships and not finding enough for all 16 of our participants. I just wanted, to know for sure that they will have a place, a placement where they can complete the 100-hour internship. And by the way, they are paid internships. I have that in writing in the memorandum of agreement, which is fantastic. So they go through the process as though they are employees. They do the training, the interviewing. It is a very interesting and successful experience. I was just sharing with my friends earlier that one of our intern is going to be employed permanently because he did so well and he fell in love with banking, something he never thought that he would be interested in. But so it's all working out very, very well. On this website, you will also find a link to the application. I have copies of the application in Spanish as well to accommodate all students. All of our students will have access to this great program. You will also find different important information like the program guide in English and in Spanish. And I think I included on the application page, I included the syllabi for the dual enrollment classes so that students know what they entail and they make their choice accordingly.
So Marlene, there are a couple of questions coming through in the chat, and I'm going to suggest that you don't address them all right now because some of them are about really significant fundamental program elements like internships and capstones and how schools design and choose those, or the course scope and sequence that you developed and how you fulfill the year-long or equivalent requirement for technical courses and for advanced courses. So these are actually topics that we go into in depth in webinars, workshops coming in the early fall. And on June 17th, we're holding a program spotlight that will give a chance to go more into depth on some of those. So just for the folks who are posting those questions, know that there are lots of resources that will help you understand those questions, but we won't be able to directly address all of that today, or we'll never hit our end time for today's program. So is now a time where we could come back to the slide share and go on?
Excellent time. Thank you.
Thank you so much for showing your website. I know you were being very, very modest about it, but I think that kind of clear communication and thinking about barriers to access, so providing language translations, these are all really important things for folks to be thinking about as they develop pathway programming.
Thank you, Annie. So more core elements. MyCap is instrumental. As you know, I knew that coming into Fairhaven High School, and even before we thought about innovation pathways, we knew that we had it to implement it somehow and definitely. So as we recognize the need for the MyCap component, concurrently with preparing for the designation, we formed a MyCap team and we attended the 3 training workshops throughout the year. Then the team met and we devised a curriculum for Fairhaven High School. We went back to the high school, shared it, presented to all staff members, and held 2 or 3 training sessions on MIFA Pathway, because this is the online college and career readiness that we selected to implement the MyCap curriculum. There are other platforms, but this is the one we selected. And then we are in full implementation this year. I know it was a lot to do, but we are in full implementation this year, concurrently with launching the program. And this was an excellent idea because it also involved the pathways, the innovation pathway program that we designed, and it covered all the college and career activities, the connection to career, all of the components that Jennifer talked about in the model. All of those are implemented in our curriculum. Now, the great thing about our MyCap curriculum, and this is how I suggest you do it, is to make it a school affair. So all of our teachers are involved in this, in the program of MyCap. And the way we are facilitating is through school-based lessons, we call them, or if you will, it's a sort of advisory. We have 14 of them throughout the year. And because we have a rotating schedule, they fall on different days and different blocks. This way, all teachers have the chance to be participating in this. And we share with them the curriculum. They have a folder where they can access and retrieve the right lesson for that day. And of course, the right grade, and they facilitate it with their own students. And I've heard from teachers that sometimes they do it more often than that. They access the folder and they retrieve whatever they need, or they go on MIFA Pathway and just explore more and do more with their students, in college and career. And this is exactly how we wanted it. And this year we are revising the curriculum. And it's an ongoing process. It's never one and done. We follow the profile of a learner framework, and we included the MyCap in it and the innovation pathways in it. So it's really like a very rich document, a very rich curriculum that is dynamic. I just received an email from one of the team members, the ELA teacher who is a MyCap team member, suggesting additions through the lens of ELA to the MyCap curriculum. And this is how everybody's going to be doing it. And I think this is a very successful tactic. Now, for enhanced student supports, I'm pretty sure that you all have a great academic supports already implemented in your design. Also, special attention to social emotional, that's what we had to do. But our weakness, if you will, were the linguistic services. Because of our demographics in past years, we never see a real need until now. And everybody in the district is so happy that we're doing innovation pathways and we're including these services, because now we really are offering equitable access to everybody. In other districts, I'm assuming translation services already exist as a department or as, an embedded service. We don't. So we had to seek those services from a third party. And this is what we have right now, a contract with a third party that we contact when we need translation or interpretation in in-person sessions. And this is gaining ground, and everybody's being happy about it, that we are offering this service now.
You're also really highlighting, Marlene, the way that schools are going to need to assess assets and challenges, right? So you identify the MyCap implementation as an asset of your school, and really have used that to help build support for and build out your pathway programming. And then the need to provide language translations as a gap that need to be filled. So there's no one recipe, right? It's not a cookbook for pathway design and implementation, but really a process of reflection, planning, and piloting solutions that get implemented over a longer period of time.
Exactly. So that helped us overcome our weaknesses in a sense, but it's helping the whole school, not just our participants. We also paid attention to special education considerations, accommodations. Our students, our participants are a mix of different students, different backgrounds, different abilities, different needs, different accommodations, and all of our advisory board members and all of our teachers know them. So it's good to have all of these accommodations shared, but also we paid attention to safety policies and procedures for on and off-site, because we have students who complete internships outside the school, and we have students who go and attend dual enrollment classes on college campuses. So we had to make sure in writing that our students are comfortable, and most importantly, they are safe. So, this concerning student supports. Regarding staffing and provision of educator supports, we have curriculum resources, we have professional development opportunities for different members of the advisory board. One in particular that I really like and recommend is student career coaching. That's a certificate that you can acquire online, but it helped a lot with better understanding the career coaching aspect of things. Just one example, but I cannot highlight enough the MAICP community of practice. And the key word here is community. It is definitely a community of friends, of collaborators, of people supporting each other. I benefited so much from it, and I still do. And I totally encourage you to bookmark it and visit it every single day if you can. There are so many resources that can help you. As you noticed, I don't have artistic skills, so I had to go and look at samples of program guides and internship contracts and so many different documents that were so helpful and helped me know what is needed to be included. We have great high schools that are participating with their own resources uploaded. The forum, the portal, is also a fantastic way of starting or continuing a conversation. I totally encourage you to do that. You can continue the conversation or start a thread, a question, a topic, and you will be amazed at how many people are willing to help and assist and collaborate. Definitely.
Marlene, thank you so much for that. You're doing my slide about the
I'm
website
sorry.
for me. No, that's terrific. You're the
Yeah.
best possible
It's from personal
person for that.
experience.
And I want to emphasize that the resources provided through MAICP Community of Practice are all free of charge. There is not a cost associated with them for any district participating in the initiative. There are, of course, costs associated with some of the things that you're talking about, and I know that schools will be curious to hear about how going into a planning process, they might think about budget and funding, and especially potential uses for planning grant funds. So can you give us a brief idea of maybe both how you have spent past planning grant funds and how you are thinking about your upcoming planning process for a new pathway?
Jennifer did a great job with this slide earlier, and I was like, that's right. But absolutely fantastic information. Thank you, Jennifer. And it is true. You see on the right-hand side, the possible sources. DESE has been extremely generous with providing planning grants and implementation grants, but there are other sources like the MassHire support is really instrumental. In our area, it's the Greater New Bedford one, and I know you depending on where you are, you have a different MassHire, but they do have allocations for schools, and they really want to help. So a conversation, a good partnership with your MassHire crew will be definitely conducive to positive outcome. Community partners also, we have employers, business owners who are willing to assist with some cost, and of course, local LEA funds. That goes without saying that you can definitely access some of those. Now, regarding Fairhaven High School, we spend some funds in for linguistic services. As I mentioned earlier, that was a need that we needed to address. Interpreters, translators, recruitment materials that needed to be printed in more than one language. Those are very important because this is your commitment to equitable access. This is telling everybody that, you know, there is a place for everybody. And I always use the analogy, we don't just open the door, we always step outside and invite people in. This is one way of making people feel that we really mean that. We're not just saying, okay, the door is open, the application is accessible to anybody. No, I have to make sure that it truly is. So this is where we focused, in our budget on services that truly address those challenges that we recognized early on. The equipment.
Awesome. Okay, I'm gonna
Okay.
pause you there, Marlene, so that we are sure we have enough time to really dig into some of the details about the process. And I know folks will have some further questions for you, so please do put those in the chat. We'll get to them live if we have time. Otherwise, we'll follow up in other ways. But as we go into the process, Marlene did such a great job of describing the internal team that she helped build at Fairhaven High School, and also external points of contact and important relationships. And so we want to start out with just some reminders of the key external points of contact for you as applicants. These include your DESE CCTE liaison, your MassHire contact, as Marlene spoke very eloquently to, your colleagues in this MAICP network, and then any partnerships that you already have or may form in order to incorporate dual enrollment into your pathway course scope and sequence, if that's what you're choosing to do. And I'm going to pass the mic to Latoya Tavernier, who's going to talk a little bit in more depth about the CCT liaison and MassHire workforce partnerships.
Thank you, Annie. As I said before, I am one of the CCTE liaisons. For those who are new, just to give you some insights on some of the things that we do as liaisons. First, we are assigned by your MassHire workforce development boards. And so that's what you're seeing on this map here that we have created, not only for those we are working with, but for ourselves who are liaisons. And so you can see that we are broken up by region. For those who have schools that are in Western Mass, including the Berkshires, Franklin, Hampshire, and Hampden County, your liaison is Joe Wyman, and he's actually on this call today. So I just wanted to shout him out. For myself, as I said before, I am the MassHire, I'm connected to the MassHire North Central and Central. For those who are looking for other areas, you can see that I want to shout out another person who's in the room, which is Ignacio Chaparro, who covers the Cape and the Islands, Bristol County, Greater Brockton, and also Greater New Bedford. And to give you a better sense, because I would not shout out everybody else, but you can see where they are covered and they're not here, so I don't want to speak too much about them. But to give you a sense of what we do, just like CCE, we provide free services to support you through this process. We are not only here to help you through the ICP process, but we help schools in general. We are liaisons to these school districts that are covered by the MassHire boards. And so we will help you with deciding on pathway design, making sure that you are connected to your MassHire boards, because that's very important. Answering any questions that you have about the application process, because we are the ones that read the applications for our regions. And so the best place to get information about funding, applications, and all things ICP and everything outside of that. So if you want, I will just do give you some information on other things we do. If you want help with your 9th grade passing or your attendance issues, also us too. So pretty much we are a one-stop shop for any kind of support, thought partner, or any kind of questions that you have regarding ICP or anything that has to do with DESE that you are looking for an answer. So, and again, I know that I saw it in the chat. There was a question about which is your Mass Hire boards. And so you can see where they're broken up by region. So pretty much if you know where you're located, you can kind of get a sense of which board covers your school district. You can also go to their websites. Also, if you're not sure, again, you can reach out to your liaison, and we are more than happy to connect you to your Mass Hire contact, or to introduce you through a meeting or join a meeting with you to discuss some of the resources that are available to you. And I really wanted to add this to this because I want to emphasize, as we kept saying about community, 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 this is also a part of your community of support. And I encourage everyone to reach out to the many resources that you have, including your CCTE liaison, your Mass Hire board, your peer ambassadors, and of course, the community of practice that we have through ICP. So.
And Latoya, we're really fortunate to have a lot of those Mass Hire partners participate in the offerings in this community of practice. They've been guest presenters at lots of workshops. They come to the professional learning communities, and they're really part of the fabric of this network. So we really encourage schools early in the process to make contact, and also consider asking other schools in your region who they are working with at Mass Hire. Every board is a little bit different. You need to find your people there and find out what kinds of collaboration, funding opportunities, supports for different kinds of programming other schools are getting from their Mass Hire partnership.
And Annie, just one thing I wanted to add, just to make it clear of how much the CCTE liaisons work with people that are in the application process. As soon as you, and we'll learn more about it, make it known to us that you are interested in a pathway, your liaison will be working with you throughout the entire process, from before Part A is submitted all the way through designation. And so for those who are already in the room that I work with, and for other liaisons, we meet with our schools that are in the application process every other month. And so when we're talking about the levels of support, we are literally there with you through the entire process, and the people that are reviewing it. So we're the best folks to reach out to if you have questions about the applications. But for things like implementing your programs, people like Marlene and other peer ambassadors are great resources, because they can tell you about like the day-to-day and how to actually run these programs.
So I just clicked forward to show you the homepage of the maicp.org website, and the link to find the peer ambassadors is under the About menu. So at this point, rather than stopping the slide share and going into more depth on the website, given time constraints, we'll do a more in-depth introduction to our website for those of you who are able to come to the June 17th workshop. There is a lot here. We did a big redesign a year ago of this website, and it's a much more functional, robust website now than it was. We really encourage you to take the time to explore the resources and information that are here, especially to get connected to a peer ambassador or through the portal to other practitioners in the field who are working on developing and implementing pathways. Latoya, thank you for all of that information about Mass Hire and CCT liaisons. And now over to Jennifer to review the application cycle timeline for 25-26.
Great. Thank you, Annie. And thank you, Latoya. I see that we're still at 51 participants. Haven't lost many people, so that's good. You're still with us. So we are here at that Prospective Applicants Workshop, the first block in May. Again, this is really the kickoff of a wonderful array of supports that hopefully you're realizing exist for you, so you're not on a raft alone at sea. I mentioned in the chat that you can connect with your liaisons there's actually an office hours sign up there. I know Joe put his email in the chat. You have Latoya's email. But really, this is when you're going to want to connect with your CCT liaison this part in the summer. There's an intent to apply that's due June 30th. We'll talk about that on a subsequent slide. It's again, it's fairly perfunctory, but we'll talk about it. It's really what is necessary to kick off the application process. But again, connect with your liaisons over the summer. The Part A application is due on the 30th of October. We have, I think, a webinar at the beginning of the school year that is a bit more focused on that. The application will be reviewed in November by DESE staff. Again, the liaisons we've talked about before are part of the review teams. Will be reviewing your application in depth. And then we typically send out our notifications advanced to Part B, so it's a Part A, Part B process in late November. I like to get it out right before Thanksgiving. But you can find information on the timeline on the DESE ICP website. Hopefully, again, you're garnering from this, so we have lots of events and office hours to support you before the Part A deadline.
And those of you who are signed up for the email listserv will always get reminders. So when something new posts to the DESE site, we always try to broadcast that on our listserv.
Yes, including, as we mentioned before, grant postings. So Part B, so you've gotten through Part A, you've gotten your notification in November. Part B, we kick off a webinar in mid-December, I think, or early January. Again, office hours, one-on-one supports on demand. Your liaison is there to support you. The application for Part B is due February 5th in 2026. Then we review the applications again by DESE staff. We have leadership who discuss the recommendations, and ultimately it is the DESE commissioner. We have a brand new one starting July 1st. It'll be fun socializing him to Innovation Career Pathways. Yeah, ultimately it's our commissioner who confers the designations, and we aim for that by end of March, early April. Yeah, that's the timeline for you. Again, you can find all this on the DESE Innovation Career Pathways site. All the application, well, actually, there's a guidance document for applications. Is posted on the DESE Innovation Career Pathways page. All the deadlines are found there, and that is linked in the resource guide.
We have shared the previous year's application guidance document, knowing that the new one will be available soon. And again, we'll blast that out to everybody when it is available. So we have a little bit of information here about intent to apply, but also about the materials that schools are typically working to gather to support a Part A application. So Jennifer, if you want to make any comments about this, and this might also be a moment for Marlene to come back in and talk about how she approached preparing for Part A submission.
Yeah, so we will talk about the intent to apply on a subsequent slide. It's pretty simple. You're only going to provide the primary contact, your design team members, your plan pathway sector. There's some assurances. That's due June 30th, but really in terms of, and this is where I'd love for Marlene to chime in, gathering materials for Part A, you're really going to want to think about that needs assessment, your goals, the number of students you're looking to serve. Again, focusing on partnerships. We've talked about the importance of connecting early and often with your Mass Hire board, determining regional demand, start thinking about relationships with employers and other partners that'll support your pathways. Other stakeholders, Marlene talked about the importance of having a diverse team, getting folks involved early, and then equitable access. I can't underscore this enough. The strategies and the exact methods that you're going to employ to advance equity in your particular context. Thinking about the students you want to serve, how you're going to proactively recruit those student populations. And then again, Part A applications due end of October to us at DESE. Marlene, anything you want to say here?
Yes,
You've
no, the
been through
guiding,
it really recently and you're going for it again.
exactly, the guiding principles is your starting point, just making sure that they are implemented every step of the way. And once you are prepared for Part A, just think about it as a document that's going to be expanded in Part B with like slight modifications and going really in depth in each of the sections. Don't be too scared of the process. You have immense support throughout the whole application. I just wanted to shout out to Ignacio. I know he's here on the call. He was so helpful, so supportive, so accommodating. I never got the chance to thank him, so I'm doing it publicly here because he was amazing. Thank you, Ignacio. So yes, guys, it's just a process. Once you determine your sections that are highly affected by the guiding principles, those are your starting points. Your partnerships, your equitable access, connection to career, those truly will make your design very successful. And as soon as you submit Part A, Part B is going to be just an expansion and elaboration of Part A with immense and consistent support.
Thanks, Marlene.
Okay, so we have a new platform coming, and Jennifer and colleagues are going to talk to us about CHAMP.
Yes, and I am very grateful to be joined by Larry, who's a Fairhaven resident, actually, and Raven Jordan, colleagues from the Office for College, Career, and Technical Education. They've been working with the vendor on developing this brand new platform that, folks who have been engaging with us for a while have heard about. It's called CHAMP. It's the Communication Hub and Monitoring Portal, because we love acronyms at DESE. It's new and it's department-wide, so it's not just being used by our Office for College, Career, and Technical Education. It's already launched in several DESE offices, but we're launching it in OCCTE in time for fiscal 26, so your designation cycle. Each office in DESE is using CHAMP for various processes. Some of you may already be using CHAMP and you're engaging with other offices at DESE. So we just want to familiarize you here at the platform today. And Larry and Raven, feel free to chime in, unmute if I'm misspeaking or if there's something you want to add, because you are the true experts. So Innovation Career Pathways, along with our state designated CTE programs, also known as Chapter 74, are using CHAMP, as well as our CTE partnership programs, sometimes they're referred to as After Dark. So all of these designation applications are in CHAMP. And then, as I alluded to on the previous slide, there are other processes that will be transitioned to CHAMP, including district support and technical assistance, methods of administration reviews, and our ICP self-reflection, which is something that are already designated programs once they're 1 year in implementation submit via, it used to be via Alchemer, it will now be via CHAMP. Next slide, please. There we go. Salesforce. I bet a lot of you are familiar with Salesforce. That is where the CHAMP platform lives. Why did we decide to move to CHAMP? We want to have more alignment across DESE offices by having more processes living in the same place. In this case, it's CHAMP. We are going to be providing technical assistance opportunities throughout the summer and into the 2025-26 school year to help you as you familiarize yourselves with the new tool. It's new to us, it's new to you. We want you to feel greatly supported. Raven and Larry, again, are key supports for this. And stay tuned. More information will be forthcoming in the CCTE newsletter. I'll find a link and put that in the chat to where you can sign up for that if you're not already registered to receive those newsletters, and also from your CCTE liaisons. So the intent to apply, it is brand new for Innovation Career Pathways. So for those of you who have applied for designation in the past, you didn't have to do it. It is a required aspect. It is the first step in the new program designation process. And why is that? Well, we want to get a sense of how many districts we're going to be working with, but also, technically speaking, the Part A and Part B applications are connected in the system in Salesforce CHAMP via this intent. So submitting the intent opens up access to Part A. So you're not able to submit a Part A or Part B application without doing this initial intent to apply. And again, as you've heard, we have all these supports for you in the form of liaisons. It's a way for, we get an intent and liaisons know that you're interested. They're going to know to connect with you. It's a gateway for future supports.
Jennifer, one thing worth mentioning here is that submitting an intent does not bind a school district to having to submit a Part A application. So
thank you, Larry.
It's required in order to submit a Part A, but if you should thereafter decide to abandon your effort and pick it up next year or just abandon it altogether, you're able to do that.
Thank you, Larry. I really appreciate that. And hopefully that's reassuring to some folks. The intent to apply is pretty short. As I mentioned before, it takes about 5 minutes to complete. And I think that it's going to be open very soon, maybe as soon as today, tomorrow. I think Nicole might be here, but it will be open until the due date on June 30th, 2025. We really want you to get it in by that due date. Maybe I shouldn't be mentioning here, Larry or Raven, but it's not, you're not going to be locked out from submitting an intent to apply if you happen to miss the June 30th deadline. Again, if you want to apply, we want you to apply, and we'll make sure that the system accommodates that.
So Jennifer, we have folks in the room who are, teachers and building level leaders and district curriculum role folks, as well as partners. Who specifically would need to be involved in the decision to submit an intent to apply and in the actual getting into CHAMP?
Yeah, so we do have a slide that's sort of dedicated to that on access to CHAMP. Can I answer that in maybe a couple slides?
Absolutely.
Sorry. So if we could go to the next slide, slide number 38, the intent to apply. This is a screenshot, again, helpfully provided by Raven and Larry. There's 6 questions and 1 upload that's asked on the intent to apply. These are the questions. You will need to have that last bullet there. The signed statement of assurances for awareness. You can see, well, you'd have to blow it up, but you will be able to see within CHAMP what the assurances are. You can create a Word document, have someone sign off. Ideally, it's your superintendent sign off on that, and then that will be the upload for it. And again, we will have lots of opportunities for training on this. And then the next slide, this access to CHAMP. So following this webinar, the superintendents, CTE directors, and folks who have registered for this webinar will be sent an email from Salesforce to activate their account. So again, this is from the Salesforce system. So everybody who's here who's registered will get an email from Salesforce to activate their account. You'll need your email address and you'll need to create a password to log in. And then you'll be able to access the intent to apply, which will kick off your new program designation process. So users in other roles will need to complete a form on DESE's website to generate an account, and we will share links to that post-webinar. So if you're here and you're registered for the webinar today, you will get an email from Salesforce. CHAMP training. Again, we're going to do training for use of CHAMP starting in June. We will be posting and sharing asynchronous mini lessons on how to log into CHAMP, how to access the intent to apply, creating the Part A and Part B applications, and more. And thanks to Larry and Raven, we will be hosting weekly office hours on June 11th, 18th, and 25th. So stay tuned for an email that'll have information on the office hours. It'll have the link actually to those office hours. And then there will be additional opportunities come July and September. Again, be on the lookout for these dates. We don't want you to feel like you're floundering. We're here to support you. Next steps for CHAMP, sort of reiterating what was stated before. CTE director, superintendents, folks registered for this email, registered for this, pardon me, registered for this workshop. You'll get an email from Salesforce. You're going to want to log into Salesforce and take some time to explore the new platform. Plan to attend upcoming office hours on June the 11th. And again, be on the lookout for that email about the office hours. Contact your liaison with any questions on submitting the intent to apply. And you can always message ccte@mass.gov if you have CHAMP technical difficulties. And again, stay tuned. Just keep your eyes on your email. Lots of info coming on this exciting launch.
Jennifer, I'm going to jump in again. I believe that the email that comes from Salesforce is time sensitive, so people should not sit on it. Once you get that email,
You're right.
go right in to establish your account.
Thank you. And Larry, say folks who don't act in a time, so they just email the ccte@mass.gov.
What we are going to be doing is setting up an Alchemer survey where people who
Can request
have
access,
two
right?
conditions. One is, excuse me, two conditions. One is if people are interested in getting an Alchemer account, or I'm sorry, getting a CHAMP account, they would log into the Alchemer survey and fill out a survey indicating that. That same survey will be used for any issues that people are having or any kind of technical difficulties or challenges, so that we are aware of them and can address them if they're particular to that person or something having to do with the system.
Great. Thank you again. Yeah, lots of supports. Keep your eyes on your emails. Stay tuned.
Awesome.
Thanks,
Thank you so
Larry,
much,
Raven.
Larry. Thank you for joining us today, and to Raven and Jennifer for all this information. There are a lot of steps, there are a lot of details, but as I think you've heard from everyone, there's also a lot of support. So please don't hesitate to reach out and ask questions. Given the time, as I thought, we are too short to really open up a Q&A live in this session. But if there's a question that's on your mind right now, please put it in the chat and we will make sure that we get a response. And then we do want to just take an opportunity to kind of boil down, because with all of the information shared today, you may be feeling a little bit overly full of information and ideas. We wanted to try to leave you just with 6 concrete steps that you can act on right away to move your process forward in a positive direction. These are gleaned from folks who have been through this process before, and you've really heard about them throughout today's event. It focuses on building your team. One person alone cannot do this work on behalf of a school and the school's community. You need a team, and as that team is forming, please make sure that you're directing folks to the MAICP website to sign up for the listserv and to join and become members of the portal. As you've heard, we really encourage you to set up initial conversations with your CCT liaison. Thank you to the liaisons who were able to be here today. That's really awesome. And similarly, to connect or reconnect with your MassHire representative. You may be aware already that MIFA is offering a webinar on their new work-based learning tools in the MIFA Pathway platform. So I'll be at that webinar next week on June 3rd at 8:30 in the morning. Allison has shared the link to sign up for that in the chat. And as I mentioned earlier, we've decided to hold an additional webinar this year for our community of practice with another of our amazing peer ambassadors, Lindsay McGinnis from Hoosick Valley High School, and 2 other members of her team will be presenting a spotlight on pathways at Hoosick Valley, which is in northern Berkshire County. And that's going to happen on Tuesday, the 17th of June. Registration information for that is on our website. It'll be in the follow-up email. Overall, what we would encourage you to do is to really think about how, as a team, you can make a plan for the remaining days of this school year, the summer, and next year that will leave you feeling on solid ground in terms of the tasks that you need to prioritize, the roles, how the work is going to be shared, the timelines, and really importantly, how you're going to hear from key stakeholders to provide input into your pathway design process. So with these tips and reaching 10:30, I just want to ask Allison to share the link in the chat to our post-event survey. We ask for these surveys every single time. We could not do this work without your feedback and input. So please provide that using the link in the chat. We are so excited to work with this cohort through the coming application cycle, and we want to hear from you about what we can do to support you during that coming year. Thanks so much for attending today's webinar. Looking forward to seeing you at another MAICP event soon. Have a great day.